I'm Dan.
I'm William.
I'm Lucky.
And this is Neat Plans and Poor Decisions.
All
right, welcome y'all. Episode 3 today. Today we're going to be talking about one of the heritage distilleries here in Kentucky. We're going to be talking about some Four Roses. So today we're going to have a single barrel strength expression from them. This one comes in 9 years, 3 months. It's going to be the OESV recipe from Four Roses. They've got 10 different recipes they put out in these barrel strengths, made up of their 5 proprietary yeast strands and their 2 mash bills. They kind of mix them together. I've got some favorites in the lineup for myself, the OESO and OBSO. I know a lot of people like the OESKs, these OESVs. They kind of cover all the bases. This one by recipe says to expect it to be some delicate fruits, a little bit creamy. I think this one on the label says delicate, fruity, and caramel. So
yeah,
we'll see what we get here.
And when we're talking about Four Roses being a heritage distillery, we're really talking stretching back all the way to like the 1880s and things like that. They have been been in the market for a very significantly long time, things like that, and had a lot of popularity actually at an earlier point in time, really from about 1910s through to about the 1940s and things like that. They've seen a much bigger revival now though. And we're starting to see a lot more of their products and things like that. So where before, I remember I would see, like, of course, your basic Four Roses. You have your Four Roses small batches and things like that. They were always sort of out in the market. Personal favorite of mine was always a small batch select coming in around $45, $50 bottle and things like that. It was always a pretty reliable bottle and that kind of stuff. But yeah, they're much more available out in the market. You can actually start to get a lot more of these special releases and things like that out there now. So hopefully it's something that everybody can go and check out.
Yeah, a lot of these barrel strengths, for years it was kind of hard to get your hands on. It was kind of store pick only, liquor store to liquor store type situation. This one we picked up, as you see, at Kroger. But also over the last, 6 months to a year probably, we've really seen them start cranking these things out and making them more available to the public. That's part of why we wanted to do this bottle. This is one you can get your hands on, especially if you go to a distillery. There used to be a really limited amount of these they would put out per day. And now I've been there when they had all 10 recipes out in the gift shop, which is kind of wild. So just kind of picking and choosing what you want to try from them. So it's cool. And it's a great product. It's around $100 a bottle. They did raise the price whenever they started putting these barrel strengths out onto the market. They used to be around $75, I think, and now they're right around the 100 mark. But let's dive in and see what we got.
Typical Four Roses nose like that. Right?
Yeah.
It smells like Four Roses.
Certainly non-offensive, I'll tell you that.
Not at all.
I think delicate fruit is well put by Four Roses here. Also creamy. Every time I do these blind, I can almost pick them out by that creamy note that comes off the nose and carries through the palate normally for me.
Yeah. I even got a little bit of that barnyard note and things like that to it as well. A little bit of tiniest hint of like hay, grass, those kinds of notes and things like that off there as well.
The proof really hits you in the face on this one.
Does it?
Oh my God.
I skipped that part. What are we proofing here? We are at 126.
Straight up the nose.
So yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is some proof jumping out of the glass, and this is a fresh crack for us. So it's going to, we're neck pouring here, so we are going to get a little bit more of those alcohol vapors, but it'll probably get better as it goes down.
OESV and OESF, I think, are probably my 2 favorite.
Yeah. I'm such a glutton for the OESO. So secondary market, or it used to be anyway.
Yeah, there's not a lot of secondary on these anymore.
Yeah.
The availability.
Yeah, they've really, Four Roses kind of nipped that in the bud over the course of the last year or so.
Well, also a tier 6, if I noted that correctly.
Yeah, that's another thing. So with these barrel strengths, part of the popularity of them comes from which tier they're on. There are 6 tiers, 1 being the lowest, 6 being the highest. And kind of notoriously, at least on secondary market, these tier 6s are, cream of the crop, supposedly, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Although I found several from all parts of the rick house there that I enjoy.
Going back to what you said earlier about the secondary and the availability, I personally think that putting out my distillery, going out and putting out more whiskey is a fantastic way to deal with any secondary market problems that you have. It's not trying to restrict the supply. It's not trying to stop people from selling your bottles. It's not trying to do any of that kind of stuff. It's actually, if people want your product, and that's the reason why the secondary market realistically exists, put more of it out there. Put more of it out to people. More people get to enjoy it. More people get to try it. And it's the more whiskey that you're selling, rather than going a much more sort of constricting or restricting approach to it and things like that as well. I just think that's incredibly positive.
I would have to agree after diving in on this and getting my first sip on my palate. The proof is prevalent.
Yes, 100%. I think it's drinking like a neck pour right now for me. I'm curious to see how.
I think it's going to get better. I think as I keep going back to the nose, I started pulling out some like orange creamsicle notes, which I didn't catch on the first pass there. And I'm a little bit excited to see if those start showing up on the palate for me, because that's a note. When I get that, I normally really like that.
I will say I do feel like they've also, the single barrels that have been coming out at barrel strength, the proofs have risen somehow. Like generally Four Roses was proofing like low 120s, and I think now you can see them high 120s to high mid 130s.
I don't think I've ever had a hazmat before this.
I've never had that.
So if that exists and you have a sample, please send it.
I think those Father's Day releases
Oh
were
my
the
goodness.
highest one.
What was that, 16 year?
The 16 year.
Oh my gosh.
Those are fantastic.
So good. We should get a bottle of that and do a review just so we can drink it.
For what it is, surprisingly affordable, really, even on secondary.
What are those going for on secondary?
$5.50.
That is really reasonable for that bottle.
Yeah.
You and I also kind of came across that 20th anniversary 20-year they released about 18 months, 2 years ago, something like that. And we were both highly skeptical of, it commanding such a high price point at the time on secondary. And then you and I tried it for $60 a half pour, I think it was, at a local bar here. And we ended up sitting there and finishing the entire bottle because it was so damn good. And it's now, that 20 years on my all-time list.
That was a very good bottle. I'm going to be honest about this one. I'm not a fan right now at all.
Yeah.
No, this is...
It's got some of those nice classic bourbon notes I'd expect. You're hitting some of those caramel notes. I get a little kiss of vanilla, some of the orange peel in there, those creamy notes, but it is not jumping out of the glass like some of the ones I've had. I will say that. And, maybe that's credit to it being the neck pour here, but
yeah, I'm being just overwhelmed by the proof. I'm getting a little bit like the orange notes. I'm getting a little bit of the creamy notes, but even on third sip now, I'm sitting here just still trying to bloom my tongue, still trying to get used to the proof, and it's still blowing up the back of my nose.
I agree with you 100%. I can't get past the proof on this either, and I love high proof stuff, and this is just drinking hot.
Yeah, it's drinking a little thin for me for that proof. Normally when I get something, above 125, I want it to have a nice oily mouth feel. I want it to kind of stick with me and not burn me up on my palate. I want it to give me the nice Kentucky hug as it goes down. Mm-hmm. And this one is kind of blowing up right in the palate. So, yeah, I'm not 1,000% crazy about it. There's definitely better and worse Four Rose barrels I've had. And there is something at the end of the palate that's developing now that I'm getting that's like this bitter coffee note that I did not at all taste to begin with, which I'm not loving.
I'm not. I like Four Roses and I like this recipe, but I am not liking this one.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And these single barrels,
just proof.
That's all it is.
Tiny bit of flavor right at the back end, and then more proof again, and that's. I'm struggling to really get things out of it as well, like really, really beyond just this is hot.
Yes,
and just that tastes like booze.
Yeah. I agree. I'm fairly disappointed. Also, too, like you said a couple times, it did literally just get opened.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
something, when I first got into bourbon, I didn't realize about opening a bottle. I mean, you hear people say, oh, it's the neck pour, yada, yada, yada. But that really is a thing to me. From having my own collection open at my own bar before, you really do see changes in bottles from day one to even as soon as day two sometimes, to it being a week open, a month open, a few months open. Like, there are different stages. And the thing that's hard to predict is you don't know necessarily how much air a bottle wants, needs, and how that's going to change it. Like, for example, recently I had a 10-year Boone County weeded that we opened. And when I opened it, it was kind of like this to me. It was just, the proof was jumping out of the glass. I was underwhelmed by it. Went back to that bottle a week later, and it was one of my favorite bottles in the collection until it was gone. Like, it really just, sometimes they need some air in them.
It's hard to know when a bottle is drinking its best.
Yeah.
I've had bottles and gone back to them and thought they weren't as good.
Yeah, and then there seems to be a point where they also do the opposite. They start falling off after being open for so long.
Now, this brings up an interesting point that it's worth talking about. Do you boys believe in decanting a bottle into a decanter? Do you believe that is going to actually have, we're talking about getting air in bottles, we're talking about having them open, we're talking about exposing them to the air, we're talking about doing all that kind of stuff and affecting the proof notes and the flavor notes and all that other kind of stuff of the whiskey that you're drinking. So that would logically follow that decanting would have some effect.
I mean, I don't think it's a crazy thought necessarily or anything like that. I haven't done a whole lot of that, other than I've had some really old, like 23, 25-year-old Willet Ryes. And what I did with those, we poured about 3 ounces out of the bottle when we opened it, and we shook the heck out of it and left what was in there to sit for a week and drank it. And we drank the 3 ounces that we poured out then. And when we went back a week later, I mean, it was night and day different. Like, it really did open, and it needed that. Like, it was almost like so oaky and not drinkable. And then when you went back to it, all those layers come out. So maybe there is something to decanting. I don't know.
So we can get this guy in a paint shaker. And
I think if it's your daily drink or two, then maybe you can't and not have to worry about losing anything. Also depends on the seal on the decanter. Some of those are not as good, I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. Like, to be clear, needing a properly sealed decanter is absolutely important. Having the old sort of 70s or 80s version of a decanter, which just was glass on glass or very little plastic and things like that, really wasn't fantastic, because I definitely have memories of my old man putting scotch and things like that. He's a big scotch drinker, and he would put all of his dirt cheap scotch in the decanter and endlessly claim to me that was going to transform it somehow into like a 22-year equivalent scotch, just because it got a bunch of air and things like that into it and things like that at the same time.
I think I mentioned it off camera last time we did this, and about the frother, actually.
Yeah.
And that actually really works. I mean, I ordered it just because I saw some guys doing it on YouTube, and it made sense.
Now, I will say, I think we're hitting a little mark here with, at least for my Glen, I think it is starting to open a little bit. I'm catching more notes. It's less offensive when I put it on my palate now. So I think, this bottle might be one of those that you revisit a week from now and we're like, okay, well, might have had a different review on it. But all right, y'all. We just wanted to give this a quick revisit here. The Four Roses single barrel. The first time around, we had just opened the bottles, fresh crack, and it was very proofy. We didn't love it, and I think we were all just way wrong about this one.
With full mea culpa, we were wrong.
We were.
Yeah, we've come back to it, and now where we were getting proof, it's really a flavor situation. So let's dive in real quick and give it its due.
I got huge brown sugar now when I go back to it.
I'm still getting big fruit, like all the different red fruits, and like I said, I still can catch that apricot note I was getting there. Cherry.
I'm getting a ton of cherry, just standout cherry.
But it is so sweet, and it's a brown sugar sweet. It's like
it changed a lot for me from what we just drank.
Yeah, when it hit my palate, I was getting that brown sugar, and I wasn't on the nose. But now that my palate's acclimated to it, the brown sugar's staying.
Baking spice, brown sugar. That's all I smell.
Oh wow! Yeah, it did actually change some more. It's just got a lot more depth altogether now than it did to begin with.
When we first tasted it, it was just proof and then a tiny bit of flavor on the back end of it. Now I'm getting so much more out of it. There's a little bit of that leather note, a little bit of that cherry note.
I'm even getting like a crumb cake, like cinnamon crumble
Coffee cake.
coffee cake.
Coffee cake. The Hostess coffee cake.
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But all this goes to show that a little bit of airing of the bottle, having it open for a little bit longer before we go about and taste it, can make a real difference.
Absolutely.
Huge difference.
And just like when we do the blind, sometimes you find out you don't know anything.
Yeah.
You don't know. All right. Well,
This, beyond the first review that we did, this might be one of my favorite things we reviewed, honestly.
it's gotten really, really good. Like I said, over the last few weeks, I drank a lot of pretty good stuff, and this is in the conversation of one of the best things I've had, and I think we should drink the rest.
So, yeah, if you've been listening to this review and now you're listening to this little addendum at the end of here, we were wrong. Where we actually sat down and re-recorded this little segment here just to admit how wrong we were.
Hey, humble pie is good to eat every now and again.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is what Tier 6 OESV should be.
100%. This is what we were expecting.
Yes.
We didn't get, but it was here all along. It was just sleeping and needed to wake up.
Yep. Needed to poke the bottle a little bit.
Sure.
All right, it is my turn this week to spin the wheel, so I'm really hopeful that I'm going to spin us up something really, really nice. Here we go. This is Sample Roulette.
Come on, Lockie, get us a good one.
Number 6. I have spun up number 6 for us today. I'm really looking forward to whatever this is. I know I have been soundly wrong regarding the types of whiskey, everything from rye to bourbon to other things thus far. So I'm looking to improve a little bit of my track record today, so that I can actually taste the difference between rye and bourbon, because that'd be nice to show to everybody.
Well, that's part of what I love about us doing this in each episode is, you do a blind tasting, you take the label out of the equation, you take what you think you know and find out you don't know anything, and it's humbling. It's kind of fun. So let's see. Danielle knows what we're drinking and no one else in the room does, so let's dive in and see. Come on, wheel, be friendly.
Nice color.
The color is absolutely what I'm looking for.
Wow.
You want a nice little view of the color maybe on here?
It smells good.
Oh, okay. It's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Here's that fig jam.
Yeah, it's that fig jam, yeah. Which is, of course, a hilarious little expression that we have in Australia, which is fig jam stands for fuck, I'm good, just ask me. And you tend to give it to people in little stickers and socks and things like that as a joke at Christmas time.
I love that.
When you think somebody maybe just might be getting a little bit too far up themselves.
Man.
I'm getting raisins and butterscotch.
And there's some cocoa in there too. This is all dark notes. Those
all dark.
Big dark notes, but like in the best way to me. The nose is, I want to dive inside the glen.
The nose is very inviting.
What is
this? I don't know what that is, but it's hitting some serious marks for me across.
That is very tasty. I'm liking
front
that
palate, mid palate.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot more viscosity to it than the Four Roses we just drank.
It's got a lot of fantastic, like honey, maple kind of things right across the back end, like coating across the back end.
It's hanging out. It is stuck to my tongue. It is stuck to the middle and back of my tongue.
Maple, definitely.
Oh, I can't get away from that. It's like decadent.
Yeah.
Maple honey. It was some maple honey vibes here.
Yeah. Oh, man. Can we fill these Glens all the way up, please?
And it's always nice when the wheel is kind to us, right?
Yeah.
We
The
are
wheel
still
so far has been very kind to us.
we are still waiting
For the
for
most
the
part.
day to the wheel to punish us and things like that. I'm sure that day is eventually coming.
Wow, what is that?
I don't know. We were so wrong on the
I know. I don't even.
on the last one. We were guessing 17-year Willet, and we ended up with a Old Forester single barrel 100 proof. But this is one of the tastiest things I've had to drink
Whoa.
all week, and
A little bit of cinnamon and things in there as well.
yeah, the spices that are like developing at the end are beautiful.
It's just all dark to me. I'm getting molasses now.
Yeah, I could 100%. I mean, that's there. It's reminiscent of something that's got some serious age on it to me.
I wondered that myself about the age.
I mean, I'm assuming this product is older than 10 years. It's,
Really going out on a limb there.
I mean, you're looking 12 to 15. If I had to really dial it in, maybe 15 years here. But I don't have a lot of negatives to say here. I'm pretty excited and would drink more of it. I'm finding a little bit of bitterness late, but it's a bitterness. And normally when I get bitterness at the end, it dries my mouth out. And this is the opposite. It is making my mouth
like that
salivate.
astringent bitterness.
Yeah, this is kind of a pleasant bitterness. Those dark notes, there's espresso, dark chocolate to me coming through a little bit at the end.
Definitely a bit of dark chocolate, like cocoa, like specifically like that real cocoa note and things like cocoa nibs, and things like that.
I get that cocoa after it's gone.
Yeah, that's after I'm done drinking, and not while it's on the palate itself.
It's chocolate.
Yeah. What did we? I just drank something that was happening the other day. Can't place it.
I don't know. This is impressive. I like it.
I really have no idea what's over there in our roulette game today, so I don't have a direct gander. If I would say 1,000% we're drinking bourbon. This bourbon is
That's not Scotch.
is to me about a 15-year product, maybe. Proof wise, where are you guys thinking we are on proof?
We're so horrible on that last.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Hey, why not go out there? I'm gonna say about a 110 to 115, something like that.
I was thinking 115 to 120.
Yeah.
It's so easy. It could easily be fooled into thinking it was lower than that, but it's so flavorful.
Yeah, that
Like I feel like there's got to be more proof. I'm gonna go 117.
and for me as well, it has those really fantastic. Like I talked about it, I think in our very first episode, how I love a whiskey with multiple distinct flavor stages. And then if we're talking about in comparison a little bit to the Four Roses we tried earlier, which with that proof and with that sort of thinness, it didn't have those multiple, okay, there's a really nice front palate, there's a distinct mid palate, there's a distinct back palate kind of notes, whereas this guy absolutely does.
Do we have any guesses, if you had to, what distillery we think we're pulling this product out of?
You know what? Kind of getting some. I don't think it is this, but for some reason I'm getting like Dusty Wild Turkey.
I was thinking turkey.
I was going to go out and
Is this
say Wild
Russell
Turkey
15
as well.
out on the wheel?
I don't know, but I'm getting Dusty Wild Turkey notes for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
All right. Are we all ready to
What are
see?
we drinking?
Do you want me to just tell you the proof first? Let's see what you guys thought.
Sure.
116.6.
Oh, 117. Let's go. All over the proof.
And
This is that Willet 17.
yeah.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Beautiful.
I literally thought that, but since we all called it on that last one, I was like,
I gotta tell
gotta
you.
say it again.
I gotta tell you. I had this product when the bottle was open, and it was very good. But it has gotten better. This goes back to exactly what we were just talking about on that Four Roses. Like this bottle, and I said it when I drank it. I was like, for a 17-year Willet, I thought it was lacking a little bit. It was like a little muted and kind of boring for a 17-year. And now it's not. It's exciting, and it really hits color, nose, palate, finish. Like I'm still tasting that clearly now while I'm not drinking it. That's a home run, man. Okay, well, now we've knocked all the good things off the wheel, I think.
Yeah, right. Well, there's only some punishments remaining.
Punishment's coming.
Retail on that bottle is over $1,000.
It was. This bottle did come from a local liquor barn, and the retail on it was $999.99.
And imagine if we sit here talking about how bad it was this entire time.
You know, I've had some Willets that, you know, didn't live up to this for sure.
I've had lots of Willets that to me didn't live up.
I've had some incredible ones that are on my all-time list, and I've had ones that I paid way too much for that I was highly disappointed with.
I'm personally not a huge fan of their lower end products. I'm not a big fan of Noah's Mill. I'm not really a big fan of not the pot still, but what's Johnny Drum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either. Although, if you've ever had any of those vintage Johnny Drums, the 15-year age-stated ones, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
I think at one point in our bourbon drinking journey, Dan and I thought Johnny Drum was the literal.
It was literally it was literally my least favorite pour I had ever had, and is still in consideration for me.
Yeah. Yeah, just mostly because of their hotness and things like that. And it's just, I mean, I don't mind the pot still and things like that. I remember a distinct trip out to the Willett Distillery where I went out there and I tried to try as much as they had. And definitely the older age statements and the purple tops and things like that really did impress me. But for whatever reason, sorry, Willett.
And with this particular product, so we said this is 17-year Willet, which means we know it's a sourced Willet. So who knows? Maybe this is Wild Turkey.
Maybe
we're catching Russell 15 vibes because it's not far off. But who knows? But that was a great wheel spin, and I guess we'll let you spin again next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep it going, Doc.
The wheel's been too kind.
With us this entire time.
Well, thanks for joining us again. Make sure you drop us a like and a subscribe, and tell your friends about us. Feel free to send us some samples so we can throw them on the wheel, and stay classy, bourbon drinkers.
All right.